in this program, I visit the champions of an orthopedic training centre who treat thousands of people with physical disabilities every year, helping many of them walk for the very first time.
All over the world, we have amputees for various reasons, whether it's the wars, whether it's car accidents, whether it's diabetes. I mean, the whole world is suffering with this, but something can be done.
And in Ghana, in West Africa, something very positive is being done to help the physically challenged. At the Orthopedic Training Centre in Nsawam, on the outskirts of the capital Accra, more than 7,000 physically challenged adults and children are treated every year. The centre, which opened in 1961, offers life-changing treatment to people with physical challenges, and more often than not, is able to get people back on their feet, some for the very first time.
I'd like to ask a question. How long is it going to take for the bring of this child?
How long, you don't know.
Okay.
You can't determine any time frame. But eventually, she will be able to walk. It may take 2, 3, 4 years, but eventually she will walk.
Hello, sister. I'm Amake Ababrese, and I've come along to the centre to meet its director, Sister Elizabeth Newman, who came across from her home country of America to work at the centre more than 40 years ago. I'm keen to find out her story and that of the other champions of society who work at the centre. Okay, so sister, tell me about this centre. What's the background to it?
It started in 1961, and there was a brother called Brother Tricisius, who was a Divine Word missionary, and his congregation sent him here as a missionary. And because of his background in orthopedics, he saw the great need at that time in Ghana to help people who had had polio to get on their feet. And I came in 1974 as a young 30-year-old sister. And I taught for 1 year at the secondary school. And then I kept coming over here. I was drawn very much to the center and the children. And so I started teaching them. And I think my draw was, my father was an amputee from World War II. And I knew what it was like to have a physically challenged person in the house, and also how people treated, even in the States, you know, in the 50s, it wasn't like it is today. And I really wanted to be some part of this because I thought it was a wonderful mission.
Unfortunately, in January 2014, at the age of 88, Brother Tarcisius passed away at the centre, working until the very last day of his life for the benefit of others. His legacy, however, lives on through the dedicated efforts of Sister Newman and the 70 other members of staff.
And the deformity is becoming worse. Now, if even we repair this shoe and caliper, it will be spoiled within 1 week or 2 because now the feet, the bones are quite strong.
Elizabeth is one of dozens of patients in attendance at the centre's weekly outpatients clinic. 3 years ago, she had an operation at a different hospital to help align her deformed heel bones. Unfortunately, the surgery was unsuccessful and she suffered a lot of pain in her recovery. Resultingly, she is not keen to have another operation, which she badly needs in order to help her walk pain-free. I meet with Elizabeth, her grandmother and consultant, to understand more about Elizabeth's fear.
Apparently the surgery wasn't so successful, so she needed extra support with the calipers, which we gave her. But after some time, we realized that she needed another surgery. And since 2013, we've been trying to talk to her. But she doesn't want to go through the ordeal she went through the first time. So she's been rejecting the surgery. And so we're left with no option than to be repairing her shoes, making sure the shoes are in good shape for her. But almost every month they come back with problems with the shoes because the bones are strong and the shoes are not able to keep the foot in the right,
Elizabeth, if you have the surgery again and you'll be in pain for a short time and you'll be okay, do you think you'll be willing to do it? Or you don't? Or you don't want the pain at all? It's heartbreaking to see a young 15-year-old girl in such pain and confusion. You don't want the shoes, so you want the surgery. You want to do it. I think these people here, they'll make sure they take care of it. On a more positive note, I'm thrilled to meet another outpatient, 84-year-old Paul, who's a diabetic. He had his leg amputated after his toe became severely infected, a major concern for sufferers of diabetes. Despite initially coming to the center in a wheelchair 18 months ago, thanks to his new prosthetic leg, he is now able to walk with the help of a stick. I'm so impressed by how well he's able to use his artificial limb and how natural it looks. And right now, we'll continue to be a note to me with me.
Oh, yes. Many years so, maybe say 84 years, and maybe say,
In addition to its outpatients department, the center provides temporary accommodation and educational support for children who are in need of care and medical attention during their rehabilitation process. For younger infants and babies, the parents are also able to stay and are taught the physiotherapy exercises required for their child's recovery. Sister Newman is keen to stress the benefits involved in the early diagnosis and treatment of people who are physically challenged.
Alma, I really want you to see these little children, these babies, because the earlier we get a child, the better the success rate. I can't emphasize that enough. A child with bow legs, knock knees, or club feet. All of this can be handled, well, for babies, the earlier the better. But if you have even a 2-year-old or 3-year-old, a lot of times splinting can correct it and you don't need surgery. The longer you let a child walk with a deformity, the bigger the surgery is going to be when it has to be corrected. When I came to Ghana, I saw adults and many children crawling on the ground on all fours, okay? Because of polio and everything else that has been eradicated, we don't see that. Now, hopefully, we will not see bow legs, club feet, or knock knees if we get the children early. That will disappear also, and it'll be an exception. So that's what you aim at, to get them as babies, have the correction so the child is a child without any disability.
Baby Abida is receiving physio on her clubbed arms and legs from the center's volunteer Japanese physiotherapist. I speak with Abida's mum, who's been staying at the center with her daughter for the last 6 weeks. So she couldn't stand when you brought her? Okay. So she couldn't... And see, Ufri has now Ukobaka. I said what they've taught you here, no? So almost says we'll continue. Okay. All right, thank you. It's wonderful to see firsthand the impact of the center's efforts, enabling parents to not have to worry and children to be children. I'm keen to find out more about the center's founder, the late Brother Tarcisius, and understand his impact on it today.
You know, what I've picked up from the staff since Brother's death is that they feel that Brother taught them so much that his legacy will continue through them. And they are very, very devoted to that. They realize he had a vision, and they want to be part of continuing that vision, knowing that it will change according to the time. You know, and the staff members told me that Brother always said to them, learn, learn, learn. You know, just never stop learning. And he himself had that thirst for knowledge. As bright as he was and qualified as he was always looking for other methods. He was always telling them, don't be satisfied with what the West is doing. We can do better.
Being here for me, there's a lot of emotions that you see. Good ones, you know, some of them like, oh, you're seeing children, you're seeing adults, and it kind of tugs at your heartstrings. You've seen this for so many years. Does it get easier, or do you get desensitized to it after a while?
I don't think you get desensitized, and I hope I never get desensitized. When you see a child come that was born with a deformity, you feel very sad because you know, yes, we can do something to help the child, but you also know the future of that child and the parents. I think what I have to always keep reminding myself is, let's look down the line what this child can become. If you dwell on what's wrong with it, you can get depressed and do nothing. And Brother always said this too. I don't look at disabilities, I look at people with different abilities. And I think that's how I get through it. I can offer hope, I can offer financial assistance, I can encourage parents to do their best and give them examples of children I've seen like this. I think you just have to understand that it's a privilege for me to work with these children and these adults, because you do give them, for many times you give them life.
Each year, more than 7,000 physically challenged children and adults from across Ghana come to the Orthopedic Training Centre for treatment. Many of these will need a prosthetic limb, which the centre makes in their on-site workshop. Mr. Daniel Yabua is the manager of the prosthetics workshop. He describes to me some of the conditions which the various prostheses would be used to treat.
Something like micromedia patients. We work also on micromedia patients, a patient with a very small one leg and very big one leg, and also shorter. You can see how short it is. It's about 35 centimeters lost. And this is the inside. Here is the place that the patient's leg hangs, and the rest we mold it as BK so that it becomes the use of this as a normal leg.
How long does something like this take to be manufactured? How long does it take to build something like this?
This takes 1 month to be manufactured. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the other department.
This also under the shoe department. We have 3 tables. We build it all of them here. And this is peroneus sandals.
And what are they?
Peroneus sandals for polio patients or somebody who is very weak, walk in a drop feet. The feet just drop. Okay. So we use this peroneus system to correct the dropping system.
The finishing of this, I mean, is really good. And this is all made here in Ghana, right here in this.
Here in the workshop.
Wow. Looking around the workshop, I'm so impressed by the high quality of craftsmanship. and the passion shared by the technicians. Looking at this workshop, all the work going on, when you see people walking for the first time with your limbs that you've made, how does it make you feel?
Oh, we feel very happy because most of the patients coming here think that here may be their last stop. So if the hope that they have and they come here, we try to do something. And if it becomes that we have done a thing and they are using the device, we also become very, very happy because we thought we can't do it, and now finally the person is using it.
In addition to the services provided at the center, a mobile clinic is also run externally, providing treatment and support to patients across Ghana who are unable to travel to the center, often for physical or financial reasons. Each month, consultant Mr. Jameshi and his team travel to one of Ghana's 10 regions, delivering consultations out of donated spaces to around 50 patients a day. Today, I'm traveling to meet the mobile clinic team at Winneba, a town close to Cape Coast, the capital of Ghana's central region.
There's no control.
Little Blessing is 3 years old, and she's suffering from a congenital disease called cerebral palsy. Unfortunately, due to a poor diet, she's also suffering from malnutrition and is too weak to be able to walk.
Okay, bra. 29 bra. Bra, cup. Chue. Chu ba kuno su bra.
After advising the mother on improving Blessing's nutrition, thankfully, Mr. Jameshi is confident that once this is tackled, she will be able to walk.
The leg, the feet are all fine. Only from the brain, the coordination to walk and the strength is lacking.
Okay.
Yes.
And with her one, just a question of nutrition and getting the right nutrients. So this is pretty like a good case if she gets the right nutrients.
Well, she will be able to walk and walk well.
Watching the various consultations that take place, I'm keen to understand more about the mobile clinic. What sort of service are you providing to the patients? Is it the same as you would if they come to the center?
Yes, it's the same as we do in the center, but this time it helps them. Some of them cannot afford to travel to Nsawam. For some, especially from the north, traveling to Nsawam is like going into the moon. They are afraid. They didn't go out before. So this is a kind of helping them to bring our services to their doorstep. Okay. Yes.
When you're here, in the communities and you're seeing some of these patients, what is the value for you? What do you get out of it when you're witnessing?
Well, generally, I would say, like if we come this time, the patient may be crawling on the hands and knees to you, and then you examine and you know you can help, and then you do the necessary referral to the hospital for surgery and so on. And after 2, 3, 4 months, you see that person standing and walking with aids. Then sometimes it touches you very much. You will see you've done something to help somebody.
So do you think with things like prosthesis and with the services that OTC has offered, it's helped to change some of the negative views people had long had?
Very much. Because like in some communities, a child like we saw a Blessing, that child will be killed because they think she is not a human being. But over the years, that has changed. People are now coming out with their physically challenged children to seek for treatment. And that is the most important part about our work.
Helping to change society's perception towards people who are physically challenged is a huge achievement, and one which a former patient of the Orthopedic Training Centre appreciates every day of her life. Gloria is a university student who was born with one leg shorter than the other, and has been receiving treatment at the OTC since she was a baby. She shows me her prosthetic leg and tells me the impact it's had on her life.
So as you can see, this is the foot of Gloria, my beautiful foot. OTC is a great, I don't know how to thank them, and I thank God for bringing them to Nsawam and to Ghana, because without the prosthesis, I don't think I would have that much confidence in me as I do right now, because when you limp and everybody is looking at you, and when they start pitying you, if you're not strong enough, you start pitying yourself, and that is where you get wrecked and then you get disabled for life. But with my prosthesis from OTC, with meeting people with worse situations, meeting people with same situations, I get to know that I'm not alone, and I can let the whole world and other people know that with physical challenge or without physical challenge, you are who you are.
Throughout my time with the staff and patients of the Orthopedic Training Centre, I felt so humbled by their passion and drive to succeed, highlighted no more than when speaking with Gloria. I feel it is therefore only fitting that she should have the final words about the centre and the people who work within it.
I think they are champions of their society, because they just helping so many persons with disability, and they're doing a great job.